The Miami Hurricanes are begging the Big Ten to take them in when we do that whole conference realignment expansion thing again. How this whole thing plays out next on Locked On Big Ten.
You are Locked On Big Ten, your daily podcast on the Big Ten Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to Locked On Big Ten. I'm Craig Sheeman, 40 years as a sports talk show host and play-by-play announcer. And I want to thank you for making us your first listen each and every day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Hey, hit that free subscribe button down below. That way you'll never miss a single episode. Plus, it helps us out. And share, like, and follow. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. So, welcome Miami to the Big Ten. Is it coming? Maybe. Recruiting news and injury news for the Badgers up front, plus our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend. You want to hang around to the end for all of that. But first, everydayers who watch Locked On Big Ten, you know our position on expansion and realignment, right? We are certain that the ACC is going to blow up one day under the weight of their horrible financial TV media rights deal. Florida State and Clemson have already tried to get out. They sued the ACC in order to get out of the deal. They settled back in, I think January, February, in order to calm the waters for the time being for a few years. 2 weeks ago, there were numerous reports that still, even though that took place, North Carolina already has a so-called handshake deal to join the SEC one day. And by one day, I mean within the next 5 years. But what about the Miami Hurricanes? We like talking about the Hurricanes. There could be some mutual interests between the Canes and the Big Ten. And first of all, it would get the Big Ten into that fertile state of Florida, recruiting-wise. Miami is an attractive TV market. Miami has the academic accreditation that the Big Ten likes to tout, that everybody has, except Nebraska, I believe. For the Canes, a move to the Big Ten would get them out of a very weak ACC and give them a seat at the table of the most powerful and lucrative conference in all of college football in the Big Ten. Now, I came across a report over the weekend called Sports Talk Florida. It said this past week that the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12 are all possible landing spots for Miami here in the near to midterm future. But they said if Miami had their first, second, and third pick, it would be Big Ten, Big Ten, Big Ten. That part should not surprise anybody. What's interesting is that everybody's still talking about expansion and realignment, that we had quieted that down for a while. There's a little bit of jockeying going on for when we get to this point. We'll get into this here in just a second. But even though we have the result of the Florida State and Clemson legal settlement that promised to pay schools with higher TV ratings more money in the ACC, it kind of quieted everybody down for a while. The settlement also promised to lower exit fees for leaving the conference in the future to something more manageable in about 5 years. Right now, it's still ridiculously expensive. Nobody's moving anywhere. But in 5 years, maybe somebody will start writing some checks and getting out of the ACC because it'll pay off more in the long run. And the magic thing here, in 5 years, the Big Ten and soon thereafter, the Big 12 and the SEC TV deals will expire and be up for renewal, up for grabs. And that's when everything's going to hit the fan. That's when everybody's going to start moving. And a lot of money-hungry ACC teams, they're going to want to be part of that process. And they're going to want to leave the low-paying ACC at all costs, even if it is a big cost. So the question for everybody then becomes, where will they go? There's only so many conferences you can jump to. So the game of conference musical chairs will be in full swing once again, just like it was a few years ago. I mean, if you thought the last round of realignment was crazy, you haven't seen anything yet, because you know our ultimate end game here is super conferences, right? Big Ten, SEC. The ACC is going to fall by the wayside. It may still exist. It may not. But if it exists, it's going to look like the Pac-12. Look what happened to them. That is exactly what's going on in the ACC. The ACC should put their binoculars on the Pac-12 and go, that's our future. That's what's going to happen to us. It's a stone cold lock. Absolutely. Everybody knows it. So, big schools like Miami, big time schools like Miami and Clemson, Florida State, they can't sit around and wait and see what happens. So the jockeying for position is slowly beginning right now. Right now, as we're jumping in and concentrating on the 2025 college football season. So what about the Hurricanes? It's not like they'd be leaving the ACC and leaving a lot of tradition behind. They've only been in the ACC since 2004. And did you know that they've never won an ACC football conference ever? They made it to the title game against Clemson in 2017 with Mark Richt, but they lost that game. In fact, the Canes have been largely irrelevant on the national scene for over 2 decades. They last won a national championship under Larry Coker in 2001. That was a loaded team, by the way. That was a team. So our point is, why would they even be clinging to the ACC? They're not. They got no problem discarding it, moving on, trying to find greener pastures. Academically, Miami likes to call themselves the Stanford of the East. Now, I don't know if anybody else actually calls them that. And ACC newcomer Stanford probably doesn't like it, but the Big Ten would love it. They would love it. They love to tout academics and the AAU accreditation, and Miami's got it, by the way. I mean, why else do you think Northwestern's still in the Big Ten? They love those academics. So the ACC, they know an implosion or an exodus is all about to happen, and they don't want to get caught flat-footed like the Pac-12. So there are already rumors about trying to bring in more schools. If you keep your school total above 8 with football, 8 football schools, you can remain a conference. You can remain eligible for all the good things that come along with it. Right now, the ACC is already kind of talking. There's rumors of talks with Tulane and South Florida and UConn and Memphis and UTSA and Army and Navy coming to the ACC. I mean, it kind of sounds like a Conference USA. It doesn't sound like an ACC. It certainly would be a watered down ACC, but at least they would still exist. But the bigger schools, the more marquee schools, they're gone. So let's face it. Right now, Miami's got, I live in South Florida. Miami's got a lot of empty stadiums when they play football games, right? So if all of a sudden they're stuck in the ACC and now you got UConn, is a UConn-Miami game going to draw more than 19,000 people? No. But an Ohio State-Miami game would. A Michigan-Miami game would. USC, Oregon, Washington, UCLA, Nebraska. Now we're talking. Those are some marquee matchups. Those will fill seats in the stadium. So, and they'll draw and they'll get good ratings on TV and they'll make big money. That's the plan here. So no matter where the Canes go, first of all, I hope they keep some of their rivalries intact. Look, in addition to upgrading their Big Ten schedule, imagine the excitement of keeping the Gators on the schedule, the SEC, or the Seminoles, wherever they end up. And we've talked about the Seminoles, Florida State being a possible Big Ten pickup in future expansion. So, hey, that'd be great, right? Can you imagine a Florida State-Miami game, but instead of an ACC game, it's a Big Ten game? We would like that. We would like that here. That'd be great from our standpoint, of course. Let me hear from you. Look into your crystal ball. Give me your comment. What do you think is going to happen here? Where does Miami really want to go? What's the best fit for them? And for the Big Ten, too. Likewise, reverse it. Do they want Miami? I think they do. I certainly wouldn't turn them down if the opportunity presented itself. Go ahead and hit us up in the comment section on this. Be sure to hit that free subscribe button if you don't mind. That way you'll never miss a single episode of Locked On Big Ten. And share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. That really helps us out if you could do that. Don't forget, you can also check out all of our old podcasts. And by old, I mean like yesterday's. Or pick up some Big Ten gear because I got a link where you can buy some merchandise from your favorite school. Shirts, hats, T-shirts, all right there at talkbig10.com. That's with the number 10, talkbig10.com. Would love to have you visit us there as well. Coming up, we've got more news. We've got injury update with the Badgers. Michigan lining up yet another quarterback and wide receiver for the future. We've got our top 10 Big Ten observations for the weekend. This is fun. There's a lot of alumni and the NFL kind of stuff with the first preseason games this weekend. All that is coming up right here on Locked On Big Ten. We've all been there. We've been in charge of getting tickets for our friends. You want to go to a show, a concert, a game, whatever the case may be. You need the Game Time app. Get the Game Time app, download it on your phone. You got everything right at your fingertips. And that way you won't, the tickets go on sale at a certain time. You don't have to mess with all that. Just do it on Game Time whenever you're ready and get great deals on great seats. That's where Game Time comes in. Game Time makes getting concert tickets faster and easier than ever, and prices actually drop as it gets closer to showtime. And you can save up to 60% off on their last-minute killer deals. Just fantastic right there. Easy app to use, no surprise pricing. The app also shows you a panoramic seat view of the seat of the ticket you're about to buy before you buy it, so you know you have a good seat. All that right there at your fingertips, and customer service through the roof. Best cancellation protection program in the ticket game in case, look, life happens sometimes. Maybe something will pop up. Take the guesswork out of buying concert and show tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCollege. That's LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Thanks for making Locked On Big Ten your first listen each and every day. We appreciate it, especially you everydayers out there. If you're not an everydayer, join us every day. We're here. We're here every day. Meanwhile, be sure to hit that free subscribe button, and that way you'll never miss a single episode. We also ask you to share, follow, and like Locked On Big Ten. And check out our website, talkbig10.com, where all of our podcasts go. Plus, you can get your favorite school merchandise just in time to show school spirit for the 2025 season. All right, Badgers. Bad news. Center Jake Renfro suffered a lower body injury in practice late last week. His availability now for the Badgers season opener is in jeopardy. That would be August 28th versus Miami of Ohio. We'll keep an eye on that. He has been just a plug in the middle up front where he started all 12 games last year, allowed 1 sack. He was the starting center for Cincinnati for the 2021 team that reached the playoffs. So Luke Fickell came over with Luke Fickell. So that's a big blow. And now the good news is, look, not season ending or anything like that, but he may be hindered right at the beginning of the season. Let's talk some Michigan Wolverines recruiting for a minute. First of all, they're lining up quarterbacks like planes on a runway, man. Of course, they got the best quarterback in the country last year with 5-star Bryce Underwood. Then that's, of course, when they flipped him from LSU. Not sitting still, waiting. They landed 4-star Brady Smigel for the 2026 class. Now they're looking to 2027, and they're zooming in, trying to get 4-star quarterback Peter Bork from Tabor Academy in Massachusetts. This is the one they're really going after. And he's already made 4 visits to Ann Arbor. That's a good sign for the Wolverines. And he's huge. He's 6'5", 205 pounds, got a huge arm, very good prospect. And he loves that Michigan develops quarterbacks. They can win a title and get a world-class education, he says. So he's good to go. It looks like he's leaning heavily with Michigan. And by the way, the Wolverines may be looking for his number 1 target for that class as well. They seem to be looking at 4-star wide receiver Quentin Burrell from Mount Carmel, Illinois, and he's going to take an official visit on October 4th. That's when the Wolverines play Wisconsin. And he says he's excited to see the big house full and all that's glory on a game day. So he wanted to make sure he's coming for a game. He's not locked in, though. Not yet. He still has plans to visit Penn State and also Notre Dame as well. He is the 3rd-ranked player in the state of Illinois. Last year, as a sophomore, 75 catches, over 1,200 yards, and 18 touchdowns, and led his team to a state title. I'm sitting here thinking about this, talking about this, going, where's Brett Bielema? Brett Bielema's been recruiting pretty well lately. You got to keep this kid in the state of Illinois. Don't let him out of the state. I wouldn't be surprised if Illinois gets in the mix if they're not already behind the scenes. Back to Michigan for a moment. Their running back room is crowded. So crowded that CJ Hester is leaving. He's going to enter the transfer portal the next time it opens up. And he's already bounced around from UMass and Western Michigan. I was always surprised when he came over. Well, I remember when the announcement was he was coming in from UMass. I'm like, can a running back from UMass make it at Michigan and that caliber and what they need? I didn't think so. But he's going to have to redshirt this season now, sit out. He's got 2 years of eligibility left. And look, I think it's pretty simple here to figure out what's going on. He's been practicing for a couple weeks, went through spring ball. You got Alabama transfer Justice Hayes. You got Jordan Marshall. I mean, those guys are going to get, if they stay healthy, they're going to get 95% of the carries this year, right? I think the writing was on the wall, and CJ Hester would probably like to get some snaps somewhere, so he'll be available for next year. Let's talk about the Oregon Ducks for a minute here. They're, remember defensive line, assistant coach Adrian Clem, he left, and he went to become an assistant with the New England Patriots last year. He's coming back to college. He's coming back to the Big Ten. He's not coming back to Oregon. He's going to go to USC with Lincoln Riley. And he's just going to be an analyst there, a defensive analyst. Going to be working with the defensive side of the ball naturally. In case you didn't know, by the way, he has a Super Bowl ring, played for the Patriots, got one of those rings that Tom Brady brought him as well back in the day. And former 4-star wide receiver, redshirt freshman Jeremiah McClellan with the Ducks, looking for a big season this year. And you remember it came down to the Ducks and the Buckeyes, if I remember. And I'm always curious about what makes kids, decide at the last second. You want to go here, you want to go there. Now, obviously today, in this day and age, money has a lot to do with it. But I'm always curious about some of the factors, especially if they're non-financial. And look, why would a great wide receiver not go to Ohio State, for example? Ohio State, wide receiver there's no question that they have that reputation. So, but look, he's looking forward to a big year and a big chance here in Eugene. But he gave an interview recently. I believe it was on Ducks Wired. I saw it over the weekend. And he told them that his commitment day flip from Ohio State to Oregon in 2023 came down to Dan Lanning. He said he really had a connection with Dan Lanning, and he said that connection was kind of missing with Ryan Day and Brian Hartline with Ohio State. Maybe they didn't want him that much. Maybe. McClellan this year battling a deep but a young wide receiver room for the Oregon Ducks this year, led by Decorian Moore and others. It's going to be an exciting bunch to see who comes out and establishes themselves at wide receiver for the Ducks this year. They got some big player. Tez Johnson's gone, all that. Evan Stewart's injured. So there's some question marks, but yet I still think some excitement for the Oregon Ducks at the wide receiver position as we go into this 2025 season. I think ultimately they're going to be okay. I think Dan Lanning's done a great job of recruiting just a bunch of young wide receivers every year, and we'll just see who steps up. I think it's going to be that kind of year at wide receiver this year. All right. Plenty to get to. If you are new to our podcast, here's what we do. We always close out our final segment with a benchmark feature. And Mondays, we always do Big Ten Top 10 observations from the weekend. There's not a lot of stuff going on schedule-wise with Big Ten. It's quiet before the storm. But a lot of Big Ten guys, I think 9 of the 10 were from football, NFL. Big Ten guys making their debuts in their preseason games around the NFL. We'll kind of catch up on that as well. Tuesdays, tomorrow, we'll have Tuesday tweets, already collecting some of those from you guys at Twitter or X at Talk Big Ten. If you want to join us there, we'll go ahead and put them on the show on tomorrow's podcast. Wednesdays, we like to power rank stuff. We always like to power rank every Wednesday. Power rank something. So tune in Wednesday to see what we do there. Thursdays, we look at the Big Ten Network and we pull out the Big Ten Classic schedule from the weekend, the games from yesteryear that we like to point out. Not all of them. We make a nice little highlight, keep it simple. And on Fridays, we make some sort of picks on our pick segment or odd segment going into the weekend. All right. So having said all that, it's Monday. Our top 10 Big Ten observations of the weekend next here on Locked On Big Ten. Time now to jump into it. Our daily Monday feature, if you will. We're going to do our top 10 Big Ten observations from the weekend, and let's hop to it. We'll put it on screen. If you're audio only on Apple or Spotify, don't worry. It's just a list. We'll describe it here in detail. We'll go full screen. All right. So the first thing I told you going into the break, 9 of the 10 of them were football. I think that's the case. But we got a baseball here at number 10. Indiana alum Kyle Schwarber, baseball player. If with the Phillies, if you're not, he hit his 41st home run going into the weekend. I think he's a couple home runs off the lead. He's having a phenomenal year. There's some MVP chatter and something that you need to keep an eye on as we make the final push August and September for the regular season for Major League Baseball. But Indiana alum Kyle Schwarber getting a lot of attention. Seems to be getting better with age. So he's one we highlighted here. At number 9, Big Ten, Iowa alum Caleb Johnson got his first game with the Steelers in their preseason game against the Jaguars. Had 8 carries for 20 yards. It wasn't spectacular by any stretch, but got to do it. His debut in the NFL. And look, he looks good in a Steelers uniform, right? Because the Hawkeyes of the Steelers have the exact same color scheme. Not just like black and yellow, same scheme. Once upon a time, we've talked about this, and Iowa fans already know this, but once upon a time, we talked about it here on this podcast. In the olden days, Iowa was looking for a color scheme, and they asked the Pittsburgh Steelers for permission to use the exact black and yellow color combination of the Steelers, and the Steelers said yes. So, yeah, they literally are the same. So, yeah, Caleb Johnson looks great in a Steelers uniform. All right, let's see. Also on our top 10 Big Ten observations for the weekend, Michigan alum Blake Corum looks like he's starting to get comfortable. His rookie year is behind him. He's ready to go, and he's playing for the Rams now. Had 9 carries in the preseason game and 2 touchdowns for the Rams against the Cowboys. He's doing what he did in college. You give him the ball near the goal line, he's going to find the end zone. So the Rams are very excited about that. And it looks like Blake's just picking up. Now he's got a year behind him in the NFL, nice and strong and ready to go. We'll see how he does this year. Something to keep an eye on. Also, speaking of Michigan alum, Chris Jenkins had 5 tackles for the Bengals versus the Eagles, the much maligned Bengals defense. But if Chris Jenkins plays like he did at Michigan, look, they might be a lot better off, right? All right. Iowa, they had their Kids Day celebration. And, I think this is one of the cooler things. Let the kids come on down, local kids. Remember, they got that children's hospital around the corner. They're all about the kids over there. Big Kids Day, participating in a practice session with the Iowa football players. And I wasn't going to bring it up, but Kirk Ferentz brought it up. It was pretty good because I don't think anybody got hurt. Before, it was last year, right? Cade McNamara, or was it 2 seasons ago? It's starting to blur together. Cade McNamara injured his quad in the Kids Day practice, and it just was never the same at the beginning, and they ended up being hurt for the rest of the year. So it was tough sledding there for the Iowa Hawkeyes. All right, but no such stories this year. All is good coming out of that weekend. At number 5, UCLA alum Carson Swetzinger, the linebacker from the Bruins. He's now with the Browns. 6 tackles in his debut versus the Panthers. I think he's going to have an impact. I think this is a rookie to watch. He was a really good player at UCLA. I think he's going to be a really good player in the NFL. And the sooner he gets things figured out, the better off he's going to be. Playing on the same defense as Myles Garrett and all that. I think defensively he's in a good spot. Interesting game this weekend with Shedeur Sanders, huh? Came in there. Everybody was hurt ahead of him because he was 4th on the depth chart. You got the start. Did not look too bad. You get your opportunity, you make the most of it, right? All right. Let's see here. Ohio State alum JT Tuimoloau got a sack and 2 tackles for loss for Indy against the Ravens, jumping in there, pretty much picking up where he left off at Ohio State during their national championship season. So that was good to see. Congratulations to him getting his feet wet as we continue with our top 10 Big Ten observations. Penn State alum Ty Warren. I expect huge things from him for the Colts this year. He had 3 catches for 40 yards, got his feet wet against the Ravens. And I said on draft night, I said, good job for the Colts. Now, I don't know how the Colts quarterback situation is going to play out. They got Danny Dimes. Got Anthony Richardson, which doesn't look like it's working out. Heck, who knows? Ty Warren could throw the ball. We saw him do that at Penn State numerous times, lining up at Wildcat, throwing a few times as well. Played quarterback in high school. I mean, I don't think he was going to put him at quarterback in the NFL, but he can throw it. He can do it. So that was good to see him out there. And also, how about Michigan alum J.J. McCarthy? Coming off of his national championship 2 seasons ago, gets drafted by the Vikings, gets hurt really early in the preseason, and was out all season. And he got a little emotional here after this game. He didn't play much. Just completed a few passes, got his feet wet, and came out. They didn't want to risk further injury. Just give him a taste. And but he's back. It's been a long year for J.J. McCarthy. And keep in mind, big question mark for him because he goes to a team that got rid of Sam Darnold, who won 14 games last year in the regular season and also passed on Aaron Rodgers. So, nope, we got our guy in J.J. McCarthy, even though we've never seen him play because he missed all last year. That was some faith. That was some faith behind the scenes for J.J. McCarthy. All right, and then we've got number one. I thought the coolest thing we saw all weekend that was Big Ten related. Ohio State alum TREVEYON Henderson opening kickoff for the Patriots, 100 yards for the touchdown. I thought that was pretty cool. Welcome to the NFL, TREVEYON Henderson. That was awesome. All right, did I leave anything out as you guys watched all these Big Ten alum in the Big Ten? And it wasn't just rookies. I got a couple guys in here in their second year, just recent Big Ten people. But let me know if I missed one. I tried to scour every game and everything, kind of pull out the best of the best, if you will, and put it here in this segment. So, that's what we do. Top 10 Big Ten every Monday. Starting with once the season starts, this will be all stats and plays and highlights from Big Ten games. So here we go, winding it down. What'd you think? Let me know. In the meantime, hit that subscribe button for free. That way you'll never miss a single episode. If you're a Big Ten fan, and you probably are if you're watching or listening to this podcast, that means you probably know somebody else, a friend, a brother, a coworker that is also a Big Ten alum or fan that may not know we're out here every day. Word of mouth. Let them know we're here. Share. Say, hey, check this out. I'm going to share this with you. Hit the little arrow and send it. Every single day we're here talking all 18 teams, Big Ten, news, analysis of that news, and opinion of that news. We're not afraid to share our opinion here on this podcast. Neither of you. Hit me up in the comment section as well. Check out a second listen off of our website, talkbig10.com, and check out or watch or listen to a previous podcast, yesterday, Fridays perhaps. Also invite you to check out a second listen, The Portal Show with Brian Smith, part of the Lockdown family. You could check that out on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. That'll do it for us. Time flew today. Can't wait to talk to you again tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about Jimbo Fisher and John Gruden. They both let it be known this weekend that they want to return to coaching in college. Could they end up in the Big Ten? We're going to discuss that right here. For Lockdown Big Ten, I'm Craig Sheeman. We'll see you next time.